This episode, we're going to be pinning our kit together, which is just basically assembling it together. But before you go and assemble your kit together, the best thing to do is kind of look at it from a painter's perspective, because sometimes when kits go together, other parts overlap. Like if we look at the crown piece here, we're going to have his arm in front of his face, and that's going to cause a problem when we have to paint and get into do detail here. So we're going to have to find a way to make it so we can remove the piece, and we're not going to actually attach it till after the painting's done. So there are a number of ways to do what's called pinning to a kit, and basically what that is you take, like this here, this is just regular old clothes hanger, which I use a lot, but you know, you could use a bolt or a nail or whatever works for you. The first way is as you see here, we've already got the holes pre-drilled in. And what this is kind of you make like crosshairs. What you have to do is you take your two pieces and you put it together like this. And then you grab a pencil or a pen and you have to make marks like this across from each other. And we kind of fell apart there, but we'll just line them back up. Line them back up and you mark here and here. And then now what we have is indicator marks. So what we do is we take a straight edge. You can see here, I'm kind of in the way, but you draw your cross lines like this, cross those two, and then across from these two. And then what that does is that leaves right here, you're going to want to drill your hole. See, if you look here, I've already had it here. We have the lines across this way, and then you do the same thing for this other piece and drill your holes, and then you would put your pin in like this and like this, and see, then it holds it together. Well, what the pinning does is it adds strength to the joint, because if you were to put like your epoxy or your super glue and just put it flat like this, it's not an overly strong joint, and what's going to happen is if it gets knocked, it's going to break apart real easy. What the pin's going to do is it's going to add strength. Now, there are different types of glues we can use. Usually what I like to do is take a little super glue. And this is Rob's glue. This is pretty slick. This actually has a brush on it. This is kind of neat. Just add a little super glue on there. Place the pin in one of the joints you want to do it in. So I'll just put it in this one. And then what we'll do is we're not going to use super glue to join this joint together. All this is doing is holding the pin so I don't have to worry about it falling out or anything. What you're going to want to use is a two-part epoxy glue. And we've used this in earlier episodes. All you do is, it's a two-part tube like this. You don't have to worry about mixing in equal parts, because when you push on it, they obviously come out in equal parts. And then just pick something to mix it out with. I just have a plastic knife here. And when you're doing these, you want to use a 5-minute epoxy. That's going to dry a lot quicker. If you use a 20-minute, you're going to be sitting there holding the piece together forever. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to take the epoxy, kind of stuff it down into the hole there a little bit of the one that doesn't have the pin in it. Just going to go like that on that joint. We'll grab the other one. We'll stick a little glue, try to stick a little down in the joint on that one. We're not really going to put too much on the surface because we got enough on the other one. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to throw her together here, two parts, and push together gently. As you can see, we got too much epoxy on there, and it's going to squirt out around the edges. So just take the piece of paper we mixed it on. Wipe off some of the excess. You know, take your time. There's no hurry, no worry. Okay, see, I'm a little too heavy-handed on this, so we've got quite a bit of excess. But it's easier to take off the excess than to not have enough. Let's do it like this. There we go. Now we'll just join the two parts together. You have to hold it for a little while. You could use a super glue if you wanted to, but I don't think it has quite the it's quite as strong as an epoxy glue is. So just sit there and wipe off any excess, and then just let it sit and set up. As you can see, we'll sit there and hold it together for a little while. Kind of wasting time doing this, but that's basically what you want to do for a crosshair pinning like that. That's sometimes the bad thing about doing that technique is some parts you can't get in with the pencil to make the marks. So another one I like to use, actually it's one I use quite a bit just because it's simple and it's quick. I just call it the paint dot. You just take a little paint like so, just put a little dot, and our other leg is moving. Just put a little dot on there. Then what you do is you take the other piece you're about to join with it, line it up, but don't have it touch right away. Line it up. Then when you get it where you want it, just press it together like that. And then if you look, well, we put a little too much paint on, but you've got your guide holes to do your drilling with. So you just come in, take your drill, go where your paint dot is, go in a little ways, pull it out. We're going to do the same thing to the other part that had the paint dot on it. Drill in a little ways. Then you're basically done. All we need to do then is just chop a little piece of the clothes hanger off to use for our pin. And then obviously you're going to have to test fit that too. See if it worked. The bad thing about this is it's not an exact science and you're just guessing. Our pin's a little too long, but if you notice, everything will line up okay. So that's another way to do it. That's, like I said, that's the one I use most often. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go to black. I'm going to set this leg in here. And I'll come back and show you the other two techniques I use for pinning. All right, the next technique I'm going to show you is for the actual arm of crom, the one I said we're going to have to keep off until we actually do the painting. As you see here, we really can't do the crosshatch one, and I kind of experimented with doing the paint dot, and there's not a section that sits down enough. So what we have to do is just guess. I know it's not an exact science, but it's what we have to do sometimes. All right, what I'm going to do, and you see on this kit, they did try to put like a little pin and locator on there to help strengthen it, but they're not very big. With this other arm, it has one in it too. And this one really doesn't hold any weight, so we could probably get away with just actually epoxying this one on, and it would probably hold. What we're going to do with this one, though, is because it's got more down weight on it, and actually the weight of the axe, too, is on this arm. So we're going to have to pin this one. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to guess down in here, if I look at the pin and how it fits in there. The nice thing about using the clothes hanger and this drill bit is it's a little bit bigger, so it's kind of forgiving. It gives us a little leeway. And all we're going to do is we're going to try drilling a hole in the arm here. That's the bad thing about some modeling stuff, is it's just a guessing game. All right, now we're going to, again, go back to our clothes hanger here. Cut off a little section of wire. And now we're going to see how our guess was, how close we were. And look at that, it works like a charm. Now what we have to do is I'm just going to sit there. I'm going to bring out the super glue again. And we're going to put some glue on the pin. And now what we're going to do, we're just going to throw it in like that, like it was. We'll super glue on the outside there, we'll rub that off. And we'll just kind of stick it back in there. Okay, everything looks good. Everything fits fine. We'll just pull it out. And now, after we paint the arm up, it's ready just to be glued in after we get done. And the lucky thing is we're not going to have to do any seam work with how the arm fits. So that's another nice aspect of it. So basically, I don't know what you want to say, but how we have to do it, and I'm just not talking very well, but I'm sorry. We have to set it up so, as I said before, because of the painting aspect of it, so it's ready to go. And then the last technique I'm going to show you, it's one that kind of sucks, but it's the easiest way to go. It's actually with this leg, we're going to, because there's no way to do the cross hatches. The paint doesn't give any identifying marks on it, so we can't do it that way. And we could do it the way I just showed you, but the easiest way to do it is just to actually drill a hole through the whole leg and into the kit. As you see, we drilled through the leg. We've got our hole in there. Now, I didn't get very deep when I went through the leg because I ran out of drill. But we'll just follow the line in a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to go in, epoxy this in like we did with the foot of the creature, and then we'll get our pin here, get our length, and we'll cut it off, and then we'll also epoxy this in, so it'll all be glued down at once. The downfall of using this technique is we're going to have to do some more seam work. We're going to have to fill in that hole with putty. But as stated in the episode when we were doing the seam work, the putty that we use is really good, and it's not really going to cause any problems. See, so and all that, and then it'll be hid under there enough till we got nothing to worry about. So again, we'll have to mix up some of our epoxy. Just mix it up quick like we did before. Now we're just gonna sit there, and we're gonna cake in epoxy in here. Make sure you get it down into the hole we drilled. All right. We're going to have a way. Okay. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take our pin, rub it some into some of that epoxy, and just take, we got a pencil here, we'll just push it down into the hole a little ways. There. And then, like I said, all that's going to be left, since we used the 5-minute epoxy, is to sit and let it dry, and then we'll come in, and you have to come in with the putty over the hole and just close it up. But that's pretty much it for what I can show you for pinning kits together. It's a necessary step in building resin because of the weight of the resin kit to keep it held together right, or like I said, the joints are so weak that the weight of the kit or even bumping it is going to break the pieces off. Now, as I said with this other arm, all we're going to need to do is mix up some epoxy because there's no weight being held on that one, and it should hold good enough, so after you get it attached to the base. But that's pretty much it for the assembly. All that's left now to do is prime your kit and paint it. So I hope you enjoyed our month-long segments of how to build a kit, and I look forward to seeing you next episode.